A world-beating EV with a Malaysian badge meant to compete against the BYD Auto 3 despite being closer in size to a Tesla Model Y. Announced and launched within 6 months of that announcement and priced under 110,000 ringgit. Impressive? Yeah, that is actually freaking impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, the hype might be very real with this car. I'm Jim, this is Carlist, and that is a Proton eMAS 7. Where do I even start? This car is hugely important for Proton, hugely important for the country. It's the brand's first EV, and it's the country's first EV in a way. It's one of the first cars from Geely to be developed from the ground up to be an EV for a global audience.
Developed simultaneously for left-hand drive and right-hand drive models, Geely put their best people on it and a hell of a lot of investment and time and blood and sweat and tears into this project, because the hardest thing to do in making cars isn't necessarily to make a car that pushes the ultimate envelope, but to be the tide that raises all boats, or in this case, raise the bar for what can be done for the price accessible to the most amount of people.
So ultimately, whether or not Malaysians are impressed with this Proton is really immaterial, because this car has much bigger ambitions than just us.
What I'm testing here is the more atas of the two variants, the premium at 124,000 ringgit. So you get bigger 19-inch alloys, more standard equipment like power boot, fancier stereo, panoramic sunroof, and a bigger battery at 60 kilowatt hours. That bumps the range from 345 kilometers WLTP in the base prime to 410 kilometers WLTP. Both flavors get the same 218 PS, 320 Newton meter front-mounted electric motor, 0-100 in about 7 seconds flat, making it the quickest accelerating Proton ever, just FYI. Back to the battery, they gave it a cool marketing-friendly name, Aegis Short Blade. Part Greek and part dig at BYD, I think. So it's like their Blade battery, but shorter. Either way, it is Geely's best battery tech to date, with perhaps one of the best energy density ratings out there, with an expected lifespan of 3,500 charge cycles or 1 million kilometers with minimal degradation, apparently. It's also one of the first models to use their GMA platform and uses the cell-to body or gigacasting construction, making the battery module a structural component, also resulting in better packaging and a true 173mm ground clearance. None of this jutting out battery blocks like in the Honda EN1 or Kona Electric, both obviously models retrofitted to become EVs. The fact that they're putting it in one of their most affordable cars is like a declaration of war. In the eMAS 7, DC charging is about 100 kilowatts for the premium and 80 kilowatts for the prime. Both also get 11 kilowatt AC charging, about 5 to 6 hours for a full charge from a wall box for the prime and the premium respectively.
This is the Corolla to the Toyota or the Civic to their Honda. The car's going to go out into the world and conquer, which is why the 7 is really just a start. Geely has big plans and a lot of EVs incoming, just like this 7 over here, which is why the eMAS sub-brand was required in the first place. And it's not pronounced like the word emas tau. Ada special pronunciation, the eMAS. Tambah lagi ada this dot here yang menyusahkan in the middle here for no good reason, so e.mas 7. I pun tak spell that way, I just call it eMAS 7 with no dot. And if you ask me, the prime variant sounds like it should be at the top. The premium macam tak special sangat the name. And then some more, this is the flagship spec car, but there's no flagship variant. Doesn't make sense lah. Kenapa ni Proton? You have different marketing team for different cars, is it?
So next up should be the smaller eMAS 5 and eMAS 3, but we can worry about that later on. But by then, hopefully, the Proton EV plant in Tanjung Malim should be up and running, and maybe even local assembly can make the pricing even sharper. But honestly, for what you're getting right now, the prices are pretty insanely good already. In terms of how it looks, what I will say is that it masks its size really well. It might look like a straight rival to the BYD Auto 3, but I think it's because they share a similar profile shape. In the flesh though, it is noticeably bigger than that. It looks closer really to the Tesla Model Y in size. If you've seen a Galaxy E5 or EX5, yeah, this is basically it.
I don't love how it looks, but I can't not like it. I can't hate it either. It blends in very well. It's really nondescript as a car. It's like one of those people that you instantly forget about after meeting them at a party after you walk away. But over the weekend, I've been driving this car around. I noticed that no one really noticed this car. It's like they've seen it 1,000 times already. Is that the car's fault? Or is it the fact that over the 6 months this car was announced and actually launched, there was a whole like carpet bombing strategy put by Proton to advertise and market this car. And it was really persistent, it was all over the place to the point that everyone did feel like they saw this car 1,000 times.
Of course, there is no front grille. The lines here are pretty soft and gentle, but it does have a pretty good drag coefficient of 0.275, which is better than the Atto 3 at 0.29, but the new Tesla Model Y Juniper is 0.22 and just kills everything else. The colors also here are pretty mild, so demure, so mindful. The slate gray is nice, like a dark graphite. Definitely my pick of the bunch. And you may have noticed that I've been referencing Geely quite a few times so far. I know Proton insists on calling this a co-developed model and definitely not a rebadge. But come on, bro. I'm gonna call a spade and a Geely a Geely.
So with the X50 and the S70, and especially the X70, I can point to a lot of things that is visually different here and there between the Geely, whatever it was, and the Proton. But what is different about the eMAS 7 versus the Geely Galaxy EX5, E5, whatever, is it literally just the badges. So personally, I don't think it is a big deal at all, this car being a rebadge job. I understand why it is. In fact, talking about it or justifying why this isn't just a rebadge, it minimizes what a world-beating car this one really is, Geely or Proton. If they've got already some ideas about a facelift already in the works, senang je. All I gotta do is add a little bit more flavor and less plainness to the front end. We could add those virtual LED grille elements over here surrounding the logo and give it that infinite weave design or the songket design from the S70. Easy, senang je. And what about this one over here? This looks like it could be the DRL, some kind of lighting element to give it some character, the front end some character in the nighttime or low light, but it doesn't do anything. There's no LED element behind this at all, even though it's perfectly positioned, perfectly molded to be a lighting element. It's just not there. As it is right now, the LED headlights look pretty good, but it's got to be one of the most plain looking front ends of any EV on sale right now in Malaysia or just anywhere. And the rear end, it's not a showstopper either, but these full-length 3D effect tail lights over here, they are really nice and they give a lot of depth because there's a lot of elements within here that are like layered, giving it some real visual interest, and that's what's needed really at the front. This does have the biggest boot in terms of all competitors, okay? Versus the Chery E5, the BMW Atto 3, this has 461 liters of space in the boot. You fold the seats down, you get 1,877 liters. There is no frunk at the front, but there is, according to Geely and according to Proton, 33 storage compartments, either hidden or overt and not hidden in this car. There's also tie hook points over here on each side, and this boot is actually quite versatile because this false floor can be lowered this way, so you sacrifice having a completely flat floor for having a little bit deeper of a compartment for the boot anyway. And then you can actually remove this whole thing entirely and reveal a very big and very spacious area over here, which takes up the spot of the spare wheel. So there is no full-size spare wheel, not even a space saver, but you do get a tire inflation kit. Just make sure you don't have anything that is really noisy, kind of clashing about in the boot, because this car does not have a tonneau cover and all that noise will seep into your nice quiet EV lifestyle. So I feel like I've sat in this car at least 10 times, and I think it has literally been around 10 times because this car, over its like 6-month teaser period, was definitely covered a lot, let's just say. I've been to Proton COE to see this car, to see the Galaxy E5, a few times, the camo version, the preview version, the pre-production version. There was a lot. But out here in the real world, sitting in this car, it makes me appreciate the E5, makes me appreciate what Geely has done, makes me appreciate the eMAS actually. Because for some reason, this car feels a lot more special under the sunlight, under the shade of trees and everything, with the birds chirping in the background. This car does feel a lot more expensive than its price would suggest, which I can say a lot about other cars from China. But in this car, it is a little bit special because this car is got this badge. So the way you get into this car, you use this lovely key fob. It's like, if this was like 15 years ago or 20 years ago, this could be like a phone. Phones are getting smaller and getting more rounded and just tiny little pebble feeling things. Something from Motorola. This is white, even though all the other keys from Proton are like gray and dark or black color. This is just white. I kind of like it, but it's really polished river stone. It's classy, and look, just simple 3 buttons. You push on it and it works like a key fob. So basically Proton can do a key fob better than Volvo can. It just knows that you're in the car, you can just shift into drive and get along. There's no on-off button, but if you poke in the menus, there is a vehicle off switch. So if you want to just sit in the car with no conditioning and just have the car switched off and save a little bit of energy, there is a button in here, very Volvo-like. If you'd ask me right now, this feels like a 180,000 ringgit car. Just by the fact that what I'm seeing here, the layout is very modern. Flashy might not be the right word because there is no reflective material in this cabin whatsoever, except for a few things. 3 things in the cabin that I can spot, which is the chrome surround for the Proton logo and the chrome surround for that little nub on the seat, which has also the Proton logo. Got me thinking as well, nothing else in this car, on this car, as in the exterior, has any kind of reflective, super reflective, shiny, chromy finish, except for the Proton badge up front over there. And why is that? Everything else in this car that is made to look metal has been given this satinized finish, except for the things that Proton added. And it's so out of place. And when you look around the interior, the first thing I noticed is the color. Because in pictures, it might look like this is just dark gray or a black interior, so quite boring. But actually, especially in the sunlight, you can tell that this color is called indigo. And you know why? Because literally everything has this bluish tinge to it. It gives the car a little bit more of a classy feeling. Although in other markets, like in China and everything, they have a brown interior, which is quite okay looking. Not my favorite, but they do have like a nice contrasting black and white interior. This color just gives it a bit more edge, like the greenish blue palette in the Motor E5, which I'm not really a fan of, to be honest. I don't think it looks that good. And the even bluer slash orange tinged interior of the BYD. The build quality is actually quite high. This is built in Hangzhou, as far as I know. That's why you have this little Easter egg print in front of it there that surrounds the windscreen. It's supposed to be some kind of like a cultural heritage building, or something to do with Hangzhou. Hopefully when they do actually like locally assemble this in Tanjung Malim, they would have something more Malaysian up front to replace that. But again, build quality, okay? The materials in here are really nice. It's almost all soft touch material. And if they aren't soft touch material, they do feel and look like it. And when I do the jenpet test also, unless something is obviously hard, like this fake wood paneling over here, so I don't care so much that it's not real wood, nor would I be expecting real wood in the car from China / a Proton. Definitely not a Proton. The center console over here, there is some give if I really smack it really hard, but apart from that, there isn't much to complain about. It does creak a little bit, but what are you doing to your car if you're always just kind of trying to make it flex and break? Piano black finish on the dashboard, but it's sparingly done. The same thing as well, the surround for the air conditioning vent. Air conditioning vent is also manually adjustable. These days with all the EVs using everything for the screen and using all these motorized parts, it's nice having just a basic but functional, super intuitive way to actually adjust your air conditioning. And even the buttons on the steering wheel, even though they're plastic, it doesn't feel that great. They do work very well. They have a nice little feel when you actually press them, quite tactile. Same thing can be said as well for the stocks. They do feel quite damped and nice and premium. You have on the side over here the door card. This is, as far as I can tell, plastic, but hard plastic. What isn't plastic though, and surprising, is that the window controls, they're metal. Out of everything in this car, why is this metal and feels by far way superior to every other control surface in this car? I don't know. And these seats too, my God. These are leatherette seats, and I don't care whether or not they're leather. It doesn't make sense to me to put low quality leather versus way more comfortable leatherette material. And this is really comfortable, like BYD level of, I can sink into them. I think this car, and I'll say it later on when I drive it, is that this car feels really comfortable and doesn't feel that fast. I think because you sink into the seat so much, because you sit in it and you actually like, if there's more force exerted on your body, you literally sink into the seat a little bit. With this car as well, you do get seat ventilation. You don't get that in the Prime, and also with the Prime, you don't get electric adjustments for the passenger seat. Storage, you do get quite a lot of it in this car. Like I said, 33 or something, storage compartments. I don't know if they count things that we think are like just standard items, like storage in the center console here. Is that what they also classify? Or is it just like hidden clever storage compartments that isn't in normal cars? So you get a little area over here that comes up. Nice build quality as well. You can store like little bottles over here, about this size. No, this doesn't even fit, to be honest. So the only place I can put this bottle is, I guess, down here. Or alternatively, you can put your handbag down there. There's a wireless charger, 50 watts over here, but it's not ventilated. You get quite a large area in here. The center cubby, which is vented, using the ventilation, the air conditioning stream to the back seats. Down here you get a glove compartment, and it's pretty decently sized. Oh, I can't put the bottle in there. Let's just see. There you go. Bottle fits. You also get USB ports. There's two down here, 1A and 1C, which surprises me because I thought the car is up to date and as fresh as this, it would have only USB-C. But hey, you know what? If you have an old school USB-A cable, got you covered. But the real star of the show, of course, is this 15.4-inch screen. Very fast, very snappy. The screen itself is very sharp and very smooth. The refresh rate is very high. The viewing angles are excellent. I don't know what technology they use over here, maybe OLED, maybe IPS LCDs, I'm not sure. It just really, really works. The interface is nice and aesthetic and classy as well. I don't know if it's Android based, but it won't surprise me if it is because it's so responsive. Animations are really slick. There's no lag whatsoever, and it's a perfect place to actually display all that 3D surround view monitor feeds because it's very sharp in any kind of lighting. It works well for the price. It is way better than the interface that you get in the Auto 3 or the Moto E5. The thing is, those two cars support Apple CarPlay, and this does not. So what is it about Geely cars? Because we're so used to it with Proton anyway, not having Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, at least from the get-go. It's the same case with this car as well. There's so much room on this interface, but it's being used right now, example, it's just being used to display a nice, pretty picture, which it does do very well. But functionality-wise, it's no better than the Bluetooth audio system in my car, which is 15 years old or something. Also, audio is piped through a 16-speaker Fly.me audio system. It isn't like audiophile level quality, but it's a nice, fun, very impactful, very bass heavy. The mids are very strong. The highs are quite clear as well. It is just a fun sound system to listen to. It's just way better than anything that Proton ever had. You can actually have some, tactility when it comes to controlling your air conditioning. Let's say you want to adjust fan speed or temperature, but you don't want to go into the air conditioning control big menu over here. You can set up this rotary control knob to actually use different functions. When you press it, it can actually be used for different things. So it has an alternate feature to actually use wallpaper and to cycle through those. Virtual venues, which is like a surround sound feature, I'm guessing. Ambient lighting, and this. Temperature or fan speed. Big panoramic sunroof, which is not available on the Prime, only in the Premium. And it works by only using the screen, which I kind of not like, and I think it's kind of a cool feature at the same time. All right, I'm gonna go to home. I can actually pull on this menu over here for my shortcuts. I can go to sunroof blind, and from here I can actually set the level or the length I want either the shade to open or the actual sunroof to open. It's a bit too many clicks to do something that is kind of spontaneous. Now it's becoming more of a procedure, more of a protocol. Like, okay, this and that, this and that. I gotta decide how much do I want it to open. I gotta decide how much. Should I have the sunroof open or should I have just the sunroof blind open? This is a lot of room. Okay, this is where I sit. I'm 165 cm, so don't expect it to be very pushed back as far as the seat goes in front. But I've had a lot of cars, like let's say the Volvo EX30, right? When I was sitting down in my position, I had maybe this much of legroom, and look how much more I have in the eMAS 7, and the Volvo is literally double the price. All the material over here, be it hard or soft, is about the same, and the same level is corresponding with the same material as the front. This material over here isn't quite hard nor soft. This piano black finish, satinized, Door grab handle over here, over there as well. Ah, now I found it. This is plastic. On the front, it's metal. And they do work kind of the weird way as well because you gotta push up and down. It's kind of counterintuitive, but I get used to it. Again, with the space, a lot of space over here, and the glass roof and the panoramic sunroof doesn't really seem to intrude at all on headspace. Look at this, a lot of headroom. Again, I'm not the best person to test headroom, but I can tell if you're over 6 feet, maybe even 6.5 feet or something, you wouldn't have that much trouble fitting into the back of the eMAS 7 or the Galaxy E5. Underthigh support is great. The seat actually extends pretty far, so all of my thigh is supported over here. And you know what? The seats are just as squishy as the front seats. And I can even recline it just a tad, just so I can be a bit more comfortable. Headrest also comfortable. The windows go all the way down. Armrest, nice and squishy. It falls solidly. Ooh, it just about does. And the door pocket over here does fit one of these big bottles and some. You can put a couple more mineral water bottles behind that even. Behind the front seat, you get a nice wide pocket for your iPad or whatever. In the center, you get 2 air conditioning vents, a little storage area beyond this over here, and 1 USB-A, 1 USB-C. And this is definitely going to be counted in one of the 33 storage compartments, is under seat storage. If I can get it. There you go. There's a ritual involved with driving the eMAS 7, at least for me, which I'm kind of used to by now, being terribly annoyed every single time I get into a car. In addition to the lane keep assist being persistently on and resetting every time I get in the car, and yanking the steering wheel a little bit too much, and even the ADAS, the AEB system, being a little bit too careful. Like a car would be ahead of me and not even braking, but just with the foot off the gas and coasting a little bit. So the distance between myself and the car in front is, decreasing a little bit. The car would automatically brake, not violently, but would brake itself to make sure that distance isn't narrowed anymore, which is way too sensitive for me. But then the other thing too, with the speed limit monitor alert thingy, it resets every single time and it thinks it knows every speed limit in Malaysia. I'm not going very fast either, but it's always a persistent noise. Every time that you go over the speed limit, it'll beep at you like 5 times, and it's a shriek. It's a very high-pitched beep. It's really annoying. And so every time you got to go through like 10 clicks of the screen to turn that stuff off every single time you get in the car. Anyway, into drive. Let's just try it, okay? Right now, the speed limit thing is... I'm going to trigger it. Let's just go over the speed limit right now. There, okay? Bong, bong, bong. 5 times. I'll slow down. Slow down. All right. Go over again. See? Happens again. Every single time you go over the limit, it'll scold you. But yeah, you know what? This car, definitely on paper, and at least according to the speedometer, the most accelerative Proton ever. Also the most powerful, 218 PS, 320 newton-meters of torque. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, handling is an area that, is always a point of contention with the Proton, right? You want it to handle like a Proton. All that Lotus ride-on handling training that we got over the decades is something that we definitely want to keep. So one of the biggest priorities for the Proton team, or the Pronet team, when they brought the car here, is that, look, we don't want to have the Chinese way of handling tuning and stuff. We want things a bit more involved, with a bit more handling focus. None of this floaty handling characteristic where everything is super numb and just sterile. So they haven't done that completely, okay? But this is a big improvement over the Geely Galaxy E5 that I test drove like a few months ago. What was it, like September? October? And then later on we drove a pre-production version of the eMAS 7 around the same test track. Ooh. Against a BYD Atto 3, sort of that test mule over there. And big improvement. It didn't feel that much more improved over the Atto 3, but definitely an improvement over the Galaxy E5 that we tried. And yeah, no complaints, because this car is so comfortable, okay? I might be in sport mode right now and trying to move things around a little bit. The tires are squealing a little bit. This is a 1.8 ton car. This weird shaped steering wheel definitely isn't helping me in terms of, you know, feeling more connected with the car, because it's just awkward to hold when you're actually like steering it in anger a little bit, or spiritedly, I guess. It's just a weird steering wheel to hold. The grip points isn't quite there. The ergonomics for turning the wheel, making little micro adjustments isn't there at all. But this is a fast car when you get up it. On a narrow road like this, yeah, fast car. Ooh. Yep, ABS working hard over there. Controlling. Okay. I think if I turn off traction control, I could get the wheel spin to happen, definitely. But you don't want that. We all know that EVs are powerful. You get, no lag with the torque. It is zero rev, all the torque all at once. And gotta say, these Goodyear efficient grip performance SUV tires, not sure if they're actually, EV specific, but I don't think they are. I don't see any EV branding or badging or whatever on the tires. I'm guessing this is just normal efficient grip performance SUV tires. You've got definitely a little bit more confidence in the front end compared to the Galaxy E5. And if you know what you're doing, you get used to the car and how it shifts weight around, you can get used to how it behaves and actually develop a little bit of a rhythm with the car as you carve the corners. It's a little bit video gamey too still. So what we're going to do is just focus on the line that you want to carve and just have a little bit more confidence in the car and how it behaves. You'll get a lot of understeer. This definitely isn't performance tires, nor is this chassis tuned for ultimate sharpness anyway. Okay, so it does handle pretty good, actually. For what it is and where it began, from the starting point that I know Proton had, this chassis handling is definitely the thing that I appreciate the most in terms of what Proton did when developing this car for the Malaysian market. They did a lot of testing with this car on Malaysian roads, going over the country, and just kind of like tuning and fine-tuning the chassis balance. Ooh, understeer right there, but manageable. I knew it was going to happen before. It was telegraphed to me. Okay. Also, the one thing that differentiates this car, it's got to be said, is the 6-year unlimited mileage warranty. So it's a point of confidence from Proton, from Geely, that this technology, all this stuff is well proven. I mean, they've tested this battery for a long time. This is the latest and greatest battery tech from Geely, this short blade stuff. Basically, having the energy density of an NMC battery, but the reliability, the charge reliability of an LFP. So this LFP unit over here is one of the most energy dense batteries in the market right now. That's pretty impressive, guys. But yeah, 6 years, unlimited warranty, unlimited mileage warranty, that is confidence. You couldn't do that some years ago. I mean, like, wait until Proton themselves get to a point where they can offer a 6-year warranty, unlimited mileage on the X70, the S70, X50, so on and so forth. But right now, this is definitely a mark of confidence from Geely in terms of their first truly global product. This is going to be the tipping point, guys. It's supposed to be the volume seller to propel Geely into the forefront, and everyone going like, oh, I can't resist this car, buying it because there's so much value that I get for the money, and then realizing, oh, actually Geely has so much to back it up in terms of the tech and the R&D and the systems. So things that you could definitely improve on, okay? So the ADAS system that keeps on resetting. Oh my god, that is so annoying. That is so annoying. Making this car a little bit more Proton. Give it some Proton flavor. And I do mean design, okay? I do mean cosmetics, because this car handles, way better. Few points better than the Galaxy EX5, E5, whatever, than the base car that this is based on. And it is very closely based on. But give it some personality, some Proton touches. Proton, you are known for rebadging, okay? It's in your DNA. You began life as a rebadge mark. I don't hold it against you at all. Especially when you do things right and you exert your personality. When you do have to do a rebadge, you don't just do it blindly. You do it because you do it, and then you kind of inject a bit of yourself into it, and that is the thing that we appreciate. This is an excellent EV. Just now, okay, before I was starting doing all this aggressive driving, I was doing 13.6 kilowatt hours per 100 km. It means like a real world range based on my driving, and I haven't really been careful with this car, of about 340 kilometers real world versus 410 kilometers WLTP that is advertised. So 340 km, I can live with that, That is some very respectable range right there. Real world. This is probably one of the most efficient EVs of this size, like a compact SUV that I've experienced. Right now, at about a little bit less than half. I'm about at 47% battery, and I have 199 kilometers left. And now, of course, that's based on what I've been doing now. It just assumes that this guy's been driving like this, with the acceleration and the sport mode and everything. Let's assume that's what he'll be doing for the next, half the battery, half the charge, or whatever's left. So 199 is pretty good for that. Yeah, I'm really impressed, guys. The eMAS 7, for everything that it is expected to do and expected to be, this is the car, this is the EV that is expected to kind of change the minds of Malaysians at large, of the population, of the rakyat. This is supposed to change their minds. If you guys were on the fence about EV ownership, this is the car to change your mind, because this is the car that is the most affordable and giving you way more than you should be getting at this price. Truly, in my opinion, this does give you a lot more maturity, a lot more of a grown-up driving experience, a lot more of a up-to-date car. This car was launched in China last year, and already at the end of last year we have it in Malaysia. It's really quite remarkable. So if you want the latest and greatest, and I kept emphasize that this car is truly Geely's best. They put their smartest people on it. They want this car to really sell well, to really put Geely on the map on a global stage. So it really doesn't matter what Malaysians think of it, but it's a happy bonus that we get Geely's latest and greatest. And really it is something else. The practicality, the competence of this car for the price, it kind of blows my mind. So it turns out I can talk quite a lot about the eMAS 7. This is probably the most value-packed car on sale right now in Malaysia. Okay, no joke. Call it what you want, okay? A rebadge, a co-development, a Geely, a Proton, I don't care. I'm glad it's here, and I'm proud of the badge that it bears. The tech and R&D that's gone into this car is kind of staggering for the price. You can feel it sitting inside the car. That was engineered to be something of a world beater. In the execution, it's like the self-made man versus the inheritance trust fund baby. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into the development of this car. A lot of trial and error as well. This car has been put through the paces, and you can definitely tell when you drive it and spend time with it. And a lot is riding on this car, the E5, EX5 / eMAS 7.
to succeed. I was floored when Proton revealed the price, but apparently a lot of Malaysians felt it should be even cheaper, under 100,000 ringgit.
But then I drove it, and every single time something impressed me, that price, it kept ringing in my head. I'm like, damn, all this, and whatever I'm experiencing for that amount of money was crazy. It still kind of like blows my mind that this kind of car is available at that kind of price. And 100%, at least for me, I would buy this over the other three and the Motor E5. Also 100%, I would buy the Premium over the Prime. You'll save money on the Prime, at least, up front. But I think over the long run, you'll kind of regret it because you get so much more value with the Premium. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this car is even competing on the same playing field? Is this car one of those cars that is going to eat those cars for breakfast? Can this even compete with a similarly sized Tesla Model Y? Let me know in the comments below. You know what? Subscribe if you haven't yet. Leave us a like, and thank you for watching.